Hello again, welcome back. Hope everyone's suitably caffeinated and refreshed. After the first two excellent presentations, another couple to come. Next up, we have Emanuel Weitschek, who is a data scientist at the Italian competition authority, AGCM. His presentation is going to discuss advancements in data extraction and analysis on the part of companies, which make it possible for companies to obtain and use detailed information about their customers and potentially adopt personalized strategies. And he's going to look at this in the context of the online airline market. So, Emanuel, over to you.
Thank you very much for the good introduction, and I would like to thank the CMA for inviting me and for organizing such a big and interesting event in a very superb location. I'm Emanuel Weitschek. I'm a data scientist at the Italian Competition Authority. I started to work 3 years ago as a data scientist at the authority, and I will present an empirical work about price discrimination. It's a joint work that I did with the Düsseldorf Institute of Competition Economics, Stefano Azzolino, Manuel Razza, Kevin Sartiano, and me. The work was published in a scientific journal, the Journal of Theoretical and Applied Electronics Commerce Research. So if you are interested, you can download the paper. It's open access, and read it and get more details about the work by reading it. The purpose of this work is to perform an empirical analysis to investigate whether the airlines companies apply price discrimination based on the customers' data they directly collect through their websites. It was an empirical study. The source code is published openly on GitHub, so you can also download it and extend it or test it on other carriers' websites. The particularity of the study is that we also took control data from a GDS, that is Amadeus, to an API, a public API that was interfaced at us with Amadeus, that is the system where the airlines sell their tickets to corporate customers like travel agencies. So we know that big data technologies have significantly increased the possibility for sellers to adopt personalization strategies especially in online market. So companies personalize their website according to the data they collect from user profiles. What we want to investigate is if they also personalize the experience, if they also personalize prices. They acquire through cookies and through tracking mechanism information about the customer. Does this information also influence the prices each customer become, or or group of customers? Indeed, price discrimination is when the same commodity is sold at different prices, either to the same customer or to different customer. And we as policymakers have to assure that those strategies are not harmful. Competition is a privileged place for data and algorithms and artificial intelligence, and as we heard in the talks before, firms make extensive use of algorithms based on big data and artificial intelligence for taking decisions. For instance, on pricing. So there are two potential critical issues for competition and consumer protection. That is collusion, tacit and explicit collusion, and discrimination. In this work, we investigate more the one of discrimination. In particular, the price discrimination, a practice where the same commodity is sold at different prices to different customers. we have to say that price discrimination is not unlawful. It can lead to absolutely efficient results, but greater knowledge of the algorithm and to understand how it works can help to understand whether there is a competitive problem or not. There is also another practice that is called search discrimination, where the results obtained from a search query are personalized according to a user profile. Airlines use dynamic pricing. There is a very competitive environment, and so algorithms decide often the price at which we get the tickets, and are regulated at market conditions. And the main influencing factors are the seasonality and the availability of places. Dynamic pricing applies to the whole market and to all consumers without distinction. In price discrimination, the price of the products and of the services is regulated on the consumer willingness to purchase, and there is an analytics on individual consumer, and the maximum price is determined according to its willingness to pay. The aviation sector was one of the first to make the investments in analytical and intelligent technologies. That's why we choose to investigate this particular market. And airlines often use intelligence data mining system due to a huge amount of data that is generated. Let's see how airlines sell their tickets, how the market is. We have a direct distribution that is mainly the company's website, and some brick and mortar store mainly located at the airports. And then there is the indirect distribution, in particular the global distribution systems, the online travel agencies, the aggregators, and the consolidators. In this study, we compared the prices that are set by the airlines, by three airline carriers on their website, with the ones on the GDS, the Global Distribution System, which is the system where travel agents and corporate customers acquire the tickets. This is the experimental settings. We focused our investigation on 3 airlines, namely Alitalia, Ryanair, and Lufthansa. The study was performed in 2021, where Alitalia was the main flight company in Italy. Now it was changed to ITA. And we also take 2 itineraries, namely a national route and international route. Rome-Catania. Catania is located in Sicily. Rome is the main hub of Italy, in the capital city. And we also take into account Rome to Munich as international flight with the Lufthansa carrier, the German carrier. The flight dates were defined on July 2021. It was a Friday, and the way back was on Sunday, so a weekend flight with just 1 adult and hand luggage fare that we took into account. We acquired the data very long time before the flights. The first data acquisition was performed in February to March, 1 month, 4 times per day, at 9, at 14, at 2 p.m., at 6 p.m., and 6:30 p.m. And then we also did another experimentation near the departure flights from June to July, another 2 weeks. And importantly, we defined 4 different user profiles. The profiles were defined as 2 mobile users with iOS and Android, everybody always with the same IP address, and then 2 desktop users, 1 macOS user with an Apple, and 1 Windows user with a a Chrome browser and the Apple user with the Safari browser. Always the same IP address and with cookies activated. So we did this data acquisition with these 4 different user profiles 4 times a day, and for 1 month, very long time before the flight, and for 2 weeks near the departure dates. In order to assess the presence of price discrimination, we've collected the flight data from the direct distribution channels, the company's website. So we programmed the scraping mechanism, the data acquisition software. And then we also collected the control data that is collected from the GDS Amadeus for Alitalia and Lufthansa. The GDS gives information about the price, about the fare basis, and about the seats availability. Ryanair does not adhere to the GDS system, so we, for acquiring control data, we performed cookie-less searches and did with this mechanism the data acquisition. As a software, as toolbox, we use the Selenium platform. It's a scraping tool that it's possible to interact with the elements of a web page, and it's possible to define the different user agents with browsers. We use fixed IP addresses, and it's possible to save the upload and session cookies. The control data was collected through the Amadeus API. The extracted data are so neutral, there are no cookies, and there is no tracking mechanism. This is a slide representing the software architecture. The software was written in Python by employing some and integrating libraries like Amadeus and the Selenium toolbox. We see the flight companies, the user profile, and the itineraries are modeled. It's an object-oriented software. It can be extended. It instantiates all these objects, and then there is an interface with the carrier websites and with the control data from the GDS system. All the data can then be exported into a spreadsheet, and we use the Google API, Google Spreadsheet, for storing the data, also for permitting analysis with cloud computing facilities of Google. The data is available, the software and the data are available on the software is available on GitHub, and also the data is available with the website, on the website of the journal. We acquired more than 1,000 observations during the acquisition a long time before the flights, and nearly 500 observations near the flight departures, and we perform 2 types of analysis, an inter-user profile check and an intra-user profile check. Inter-user is where, if for different users, different prices are proposed, and intra-user is if to the same user that performs 4 times the query a day and has always the same IP and always the same browser, there are some price differences offered by the companies. And we got some interesting results. During the acquisition, long time before the flights, 11 out of 1,132 observations present price difference in the intra-user profile check, that is to the same user. In particular, the website, in 3 out of 11, the website price is greater than the GDS price, and in 8 out of 11, the website price is lesser than the GDS price. We explain such differences as price caching. It all happened in the Alitalia flight carrier, and we see on the table the price difference among the total price of the website and the control price on the Amadeus platform. That is, our explanation was that the two systems were not aligned in real time. So during a morning and an afternoon, these prices differed, and then on another day, just during the morning search, also these prices differs. And in other cases, there was a case where the website price was higher than the control price, and this was also, to our opinion, there was a alignation problem of the two systems, two selling systems. During the near time before the flight data acquisition, 118 observation presented price difference, all for the carrier Lufthansa. The website price was lesser than the GDS price, and this was our explanation was that the prices are very dynamic, and not only technical issues were the cause of this divergence, but also the competition among final sellers, and maybe also the pandemic scenario that required price adjustments. This data acquisition was done 2021. We can see here on this chart the price difference between Lufthansa prices and their controls. In the inter-user profile check, there was only one case of price difference. But anyway, the price difference was not so relevant. When doing mobile searches, we got a difference of 30 cents, not very much, with respect to the desktop one. So to conclude, in the study we found some interesting evidence, but there was an absence of clear price discrimination. None of the three airlines changed their offers based on their customer profiles, but the results are limited to the studies and of part of the Italian market. In the paper, we discuss also the effects of the pandemic restriction on this research and the implementation of new pricing strategies. As further research, we can expand the study with additional airlines and additional companies or additional passengers, like business passengers. The software is object-oriented and it's open source, so if researchers or economists are interested, they can expand it and implement new interfaces for other websites or other GDS systems. We can look on different routes, different types of price discrimination, for instance, including aggregators and consolidators, login, perform also a price competition analysis as we analyze the same route for two different carriers in the Rome Catania. And also discrimination of group of customer and according to the airports, for instance, small versus bigger airports. Here you can find related literature. You can download the paper, and on the paper you will find plenty of references and of bibliography. And this was just an example, a pilot study of how competition authorities could design and develop auditing algorithms, monitor platforms in different sectors and in different platforms, for instance, in transports, hotels, e-commerce. We did a similar study on hotels and also in e-commerce. And the computational methods can be used for estimating how much the use of algorithm may lead to anti-competitive and discriminatory outcomes. And then artificial intelligence techniques, machine learning methods, and algorithmic modeling can be applied to analyze the data. We have a data-driven approach to auditing and data collection, and we call the main thing that we can do as agency is to integrate the acquired data, the public acquired data, with requests for information or with other data from the companies, perform again the analysis with this new data, integrate the results, and if we see a competitive problem or a discrimination or a consumer protection program, intervene with our powers. So the artificial intelligence is used to support enforcement activities. I thank you for your attention. I'm ready to answer questions, also via email, and I thank my co-authors for permitting this work.
Thanks very much, Emanuel. Thank you. Thanks for a very interesting talk, Emanuel. Start off with a broad question, which is, how have you integrated data scientists in your other cases? Because I guess this was a quasi-academic study,
yes,
done sort of slightly outside the authority. How do you integrate when they're inside?
I worked as a data scientist since 3 years in the competition authority, and as every data group, we are giving advices to digital cases, also to consumer protection cases. A big work I've done is to design and develop the online request for information system. So the data acquisition, if we have to acquire data from firms, it was done before. It was done via email. Now we have this platform that I've developed and that I've released, and maybe I will, during the next conference or the next event, I can give a talk about this big project. We also integrated with data science method to analyze, for instance, price increases during the COVID pandemic. It was also a very big project I worked on. We collected prices from grocery stores, from a big data project from many Italians, grocery stores, supermarkets that were communicating prices and analyzed the increase during the pandemic. We have plenty of other projects on market monitoring, on and on consultancy for cases, for consumer protection and for competition.
Yeah, thank you. Now I suspect that quite a few, at least casual observers, might expect this to be in an industry where there is price discrimination. So I'm curious as to whether you found the results of the study surprising, and if airlines have personal data about consumers, which they surely do in some cases, yes, why don't they use it and connected? Do you think there are types of personalization that you might not have been able to test for in the paper?
But maybe the studies just was a pilot study. It was limited to 3 airlines, to just to 2 routes, and just 1 flight in days. It was also performed during the pandemic, but it couldn't be expanded by considering, for instance, logins, by considering more advanced, more data, and considering also different aggregators and consolidators, and maybe then the results could be a little bit different. But also with these results, we got some differences that are worth to further investigate.
Great, thank you. Could you give a bit of a sense of how easy or difficult some of those expansions, those next steps for such a study might be? I mean, for example, the OTAs or the aggregators, that's obviously an important channel.
It's just a question of requirements analysis and of coding. So it's you need manpower, you need good programmers, good analysts, and also a good cloud infrastructure for acquiring and for analyzing the data.
Great, thank you. Now, I've got a quite technical question here, I think, which I'm going to ask, and without necessarily fully understanding the question. Dangerous, I know. Might time-based price changes reflect machine learning applied to demand, as in the exploration phase, rather than the exploitation phase? Or using timing as a latent variable for third-degree price discrimination?
We should ask the airlines if they indeed use machine learning algorithms. I think they use them, maybe not all of them, but it could be, yes. But if it be that there is a very advanced machine learning algorithm that adapts the prices according to the market, according to the competitors.
And did you test for whether the frequency of searching for flights made a difference to the prices quoted?
We just acquired the data 4 times a day, so the frequency was 4 times. It was 1 search during the morning, 1 in the early afternoon, and 2 in the evening at 6 and 6:30, just to see if there are some changes according to the flights. But we according to the near searches, but we didn't measure, we didn't monitor such discrimination.
And you mentioned some other cases in commerce and hotels. Are you aware of evidence anywhere else for systematic price discrimination?
On the hotels, we have some interesting results, but they are not public. So maybe we will speak in a more restricted conference, only for the agencies. But as I said during the talk, price discrimination is not unlawful. So the companies are allowed to sell at different prices to different consumers. Normally, usually they don't do it, because if a customer gets to know that the company discriminated, maybe in an evident way, then this will be a negative advertise for the company. So and so they tend to be, they seem to be fair with each customer. Maybe they discriminate with special offers, they discriminate for logging when you log in and when you have special programs, special discounts, but usually they tend not to discriminate, in my experience.
Thank you. Now, Sally talked about the ACCC directly interrogating the actual algorithms themselves, the code, like in the Trivago case, which I think you didn't do here. What do you think might be the benefits of combining the kind of observational work you did there with the kind of work that Sally was describing in this case?
Yes, it will be also nice to combine the searches with real searches from humans. You could set up, for instance, I read that many studies have been set up with collaborative environments where real users then perform the search, and I think this could give an additional value to the experimentation and could lead to interesting results.
And probably a couple more questions. Do you have what advice would you give other authorities looking to begin their own study like this?
Yes, to design a flexible code, because what often happens is that websites change the layout, not their graphical layout, but their structure and their HTML layout or the programming language layout, and so the scrapers will not work doing the scraping. So you will have, if you want to monitor, for instance, for a longer period of time, you will have one day that your code will not work anymore. I have also a collaboration with the university, with a PhD student who is working on data extraction from web, on intelligent scrapers that adapt their functioning according to the changes of the of the websites with an intelligent mechanism based on artificial intelligence. This is a very interesting project, and I think this could, if it works, because it's an academic study and it's at its middle stage, but if this will work, we could have a very powerful software to acquire data without changing the code every time. Big companies that do the scraping have plenty of programmers that do scraping on many websites, on many platforms. They have plenty of programmers, mainly located in India or in other countries, that adjust the code daily to perform the scraping in an efficient way and to get the data. It's like companies protect themselves in order not to be scraped, because from us, but also from other from competitors, and so it's a hard task to get the data every day with your defined software.
Great, thank you. I think we might draw this one to a close and say thanks very much to Emanuel for a great presentation.
Thank you very much for your attention.